Today I'm coming to you with a new way to evaluate and analyze digital assets and cryptocurrencies. It is an open source technique that I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to start leveraging this a lot more often. And this is something called SpaceSuitX X, which is created by a guy, Bruce Fenton. He made this open source digital asset tool and allows people to use it, adapt it, share it, do whatever they'd like with it. And it's something that I really want to bring to you today. And in specific, I'm going to evaluate Civic CVC with this open source license, with this open source framework, and also look to do this on a weekly basis from here on out, so you guys can get a good feel for kind of where my head's at, and I can really help to participate and hopefully add a level of really honest, open evaluation from a specific cryptocurrency that you guys want to hear about, whether it's in the comments, in the private Facebook group, whatever it might be. So let's get into that today. If you are new here, my name is Rob from Crypto Bobby. I do daily recorded videos on the subject of cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, any of the altcoins, whatever it might be. Try to bring you the most honest, open, upfront analysis as humanly possible. And to that point, today, like I said, I want to talk about this way of analyzing cryptocurrencies. And I thought it was really interesting, really pretty cool. And it was, like I said, made by this guy, Bruce Fenton. You can follow him on Twitter at Bruce Fenton. I follow him on Twitter, and that's actually how I found out about this. And I really enjoyed it. So I want to bring that content to you and put in my own work from a research, from an evaluation standpoint, so you guys can get a good feel for kind of where my head's at as far as something goes. So let's look at SpaceSuit X and why it's called SpaceSuit X. So obviously, to the moon, cryptocurrencies always going to the moon. But when you see here, you can see SpaceSuit X is really just a ranking of different categories and allowing you to rank and weight different categories on a scale of 1 to 10. And whether it's, you can kind of see here, it's an acronym: SpaceSuit, security, participation, accounting, community, earnings, supply and demand, usability, industry, technical, and X factor. And then you just get a total score that allows you to kind of get a good feel for how high quality a project may or may not be. And we can use this, whether it's for an ICO upcoming, we can use this for an existing cryptocurrency, which is what I'm going to do with Civic. But I really wanted to introduce this to you guys because I think the more you systematize this type of thing, it makes your life a lot easier, and it kind of makes things interesting and allows you to score cryptocurrencies on an even scale. Granted, with crypto, there are so many kind of X factors, and granted, to that point, SpaceSuit X, there are so many X factors. There's so many random things that are happening in the market. Market goes up, market goes down, market goes sideways, something crashes, regulation, blah, blah, blah. That can all affect things, but this can still give you a really good, even feel for how to analyze a cryptocurrency. So, with that being said, I want to today look at Civic. So Civic is actually a long-term hold of mine. I like Civic. I've liked it since the ICO, but I thought, this is something that people continue to ask me about on a consistent basis. And even just from my own personal evaluation perspective, I think it'd be helpful for me to understand, why should I continue to hold this? Why is this something that I want to hold into the future? So I'm going to go through an upfront, honest, every single point here, compile a SpaceX ranking, talk about why I think it is, why I think that this is going to be the case, and then we can go from there and talk about that. And then beyond that, within this, kind of within this channel right now, and kind of my idea for this, I would like to do this on a weekly basis with one cryptocurrency that you guys are really excited about. So I'd like to do this on a weekly basis where I will do one evaluation with this SpaceSuit X analysis score. And then beyond that, I've been doing a little bit of brainstorming too as far as doing daily analysis. Now, if you guys would be interested in daily analysis, go over to cryptobobby.com/research. I'm just trying to gauge interest here. If you guys want this, after you watch this content, if you watch this and you're like, hey, this would be really helpful for me, I'm going to do this on a weekly basis on the YouTube channel for free, but I'm also thinking about doing something on a daily basis where I would do this, and that would be a paid group where I would do this on a daily basis. So if you want to check that out, or just put your name on the wait list, and again, I'm just gauging interest here. If nobody's interested, I don't really care, whatever, but if a lot of people are interested, we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. And I would do that. You guys would pick a cryptocurrency on a daily basis, and we would go through and I would do a full, whether it's 45 minutes or an hour review or 30 minutes, a review of that cryptocurrency according to the SpaceSuit X framework. And again, that's at cryptobobby.com/research. But this will also be a weekly thing on the YouTube channel where we will analyze a cryptocurrency based upon what you guys want to hear about, what you guys want to see. So let's hop into it. Let's get out of all the other crap and let's talk about Civic. So pop Civic in here right now and let's talk about a couple things. So within this analysis framework, we have I'm going to make things on an even basis. So I'm going to weight things on an even basis here, 10%, 10%, all the way down. And again, it's security, participation, accounting and legal, community management, earnings, supply, demand, usability, industry backing or institutional backing, technical, and X factor. So like I said, I've done my bit of due diligence on Civic previously, but I really want to redo that because if you're going to hold something in cryptocurrency long term, you want to make sure that that's justified. So as I'm looking at this at the present time, I'll pop over to Civic. And the first thing we want to see is security. And that's really talking about how secure is the project, how secure is the blockchain? Is it heavily centralized? Are there a lot of potential places to be attacked? And, with that being said, really the entire goal of Civic is this secure identity platform. It is meant to reduce identity theft. A lot of the things we talked about with Equifax and all the kind of negative things that went on there about basically everybody in the freaking United States, how their credit, their social security number, their address, everything was essentially stolen by hackers. So Civic is trying to decentralize that and give businesses the tools and the individuals the tools to protect and control things in a decentralized manner where no one individual really owns everything. So with that being said, and I'm looking at just as far as security goes, I would give this, I would give Civic a 9 out of 10 when it comes to security. I've used the platform so far. I've used it so far, and we can talk about it a little bit more. But I've used the platform so far. I've had a good experience with it. You can see here. I don't know if you guys can see this. Hopefully, it's focused. But we can see here with Civic as I go in and I can simply touch my finger to that. I get into my Civic app. It works. It's been good so far, no security breaches. So I'll give it a 9 out of 10 so far, and I'll deduct 1 point just for a little bit of uncertainty there as far as, we really don't know how strong it might be at this exact point. Now, in addition to that, as I'm looking at participation, now this really is in regards to when you're talking about participation, it's not necessarily like participation from an ICO perspective, but what is your participation within the community? What does this token provide you with? And if you go to the white paper, basically the white paper will tell you from a token perspective kind of what the plan for the existing system is and how the token basically what solutions the token provides you with. Now, quite frankly, the ecosystem token is going to be basically, the purpose of it is to use as a settlement layer between people with identifications and the ecosystem. And it's somewhat of a transaction layer that is distributed between a validator in the purpose of Civic. Now, there are, as far as right now goes, it's really, Civic, I've utilized the application in ICOs and examining in ICOs, but with Civic right now, the actual rewarding of the token is something where a lot of the utility of the token is more of a future state as the platform continues to get developed. Whether it's running personal background checks or notary services or credit reports or peer-to-peer services, whatever it might say. As of this, a lot of that is a future state type of system. So when we're looking at the SpaceX right now, let's say the participation might be strong, but let's just give this, as of right now, let's give it an 8 out of 10 because it's still somewhat unproven. Now, this is an interesting one, and it's accounting and legal. Is this a company that is basically picked out of fairy dust? It's headquartered in some far off land of make believe with some random some random law firm or some Joe Schmo's one person accounting shop running the accounting and the legal behind it. And is this, does this have any type of strong jurisdiction? And with that being said, if we go down to, we go to Civic, and this is one of the strong suits of the platform, in my opinion, is Civic has been, featured in some really great places. But in addition to that, so we can pull up some of this information here. And when we scroll down past the team, which I'll get to, past the technical advisors, past the technical partners, we have Argon Group and we have Perkins Coie. And if you want to take a look at Argon Group, really interesting end-to-end ICO company. You can take a look at the clients here that have been pretty interesting. Whether it's been Salt, which is a big ICO, Storage, another big ICO, Civic, Blockchain Capital. I mean, those are legitimate ICOs. So having worked with Argon is an added bonus in my opinion. Now, to that point as well, Perkins Coie, you might be thinking, okay, what's Perkins Coie? It's a council of the great companies. How big of it, and would it actually put their name on somebody? So here's the Perkins Coie website. Doesn't tell us all that much right off the bat unless I go to About Us. But if I head over to LinkedIn and my Sales Navigator account, because I'm a sales guy, head over to LinkedIn, the Sales Navigator account, 2,300 employees on LinkedIn, headquartered in the U.S. To that point, a 2,300 person law firm headquartered in the U.S. that has a good understanding of really this type of jurisdiction and land. That's what you want to see. Having a big name law firm, not some 5-person Joe Schmo shop. So with that being said, that is an appealing thing to me. I would give that a 10 out of 10 from a legal standpoint. Now, outside of that, who's working on the project? What type of project is it? Is it corporate? Is it open source? When we look at that, you can certainly go in and you can do your own due diligence on. You can do your own due diligence on Vinny Lingham. It's not too hard to do, but when we look in the cryptocurrency space and the blockchain space, some people have varying opinions on Vinny, but when it comes down to it, his last company, Gift, GYFT, sold for over $50 million to First Data Corporation. It was kind of one of the first companies to allow people to buy gift cards with cryptocurrency. So he's been in the cryptocurrency space for a while. It was actually acquired for real money. So he knows what he's doing there. And whether or not you like some of his opinions on Bitcoin or on Ethereum, the guy has business experience. People don't give you $50 million or give your company $50 million, $75 million in cash if you have no clue what the hell you're doing. That doesn't happen. Those acquisitions don't happen. You need to know what you're doing. So to that point, it's really the team is comprised of Vinny and Jonathan at this point in time. So maybe from the perspective of the actual team itself, I would say it'd be a 9 out of 10 just because the scope of the team is a little bit maybe smaller than you'd like to see. Now, outside of that, we'll take a look at the earnings. What are the economic size? What are the projected earnings, the growth rates, and how are things kind of going into this place? So we can take a look we'll head over to CoinMarketCap, and I know the earnings can be seen as far as what, from an earnings perspective, is this a coin that's going to allow you to make money over the long term? How is that going to be structured? Things of that nature. So when we are looking at it right now in the earnings potential, the company has been over $200 million in valuation. Previously, it's down to about $130 million in valuation right now. Now, if you look at the overall size of the cryptocurrency landscape, I think, in my opinion, this is kind of how I'm interpreting earnings here within SpaceSuitX X. But when we look at earnings, how richly valued is Civic in comparison to a lot of other of the platforms out there, a lot of other tokens out there. And I think for Civic, as it's being concerned, when you're looking at $130 million valuation for a cryptocurrency for a token that actually has a usable platform, a usable tool, like I showed you on my phone, that is somewhat either on par with valuation or a little bit undervalued in terms of some of these other cryptocurrencies that are in the top 30, top 20 that literally are in some alpha stage product. So I would give, in that case, let's say a 7 out of 10 from an earnings perspective. And from a supply and demand point of view, this is a fixed currency. So we can go back and we can look at Civic here. It is a fixed currency. There is a supply of 1 billion Civic. 1/3 of them are circulating as of, or a little bit above 1/3 are circulating as of now. And there is a large pool of that cryptocurrency that's being stored, basically going to be given away to the community who ends up utilizing it. But with that being said, the total circulating supply right now is maybe a little bit lower than I'd like to see, or just the number of people that have access to it. So when we're looking at the market cap there, I'll give that another kind of 7 out of 10, just because there's only 1/3 of it is available right now. So if more and more comes available in the future, that could increase the supply with a even or diminished demand. So that's kind of my thought process on that. Outside of that, if we're looking at the usability of the system, presently is an ERC20 token. Really easy to get if you're on. Basically, when we look at usability, we can look at two things here. We can look at the overall market, the markets that it's available on. We can also look at the actual usability of the application. In both cases, if we're looking at Civic, it's on Bittrex, it's on Poloniex, it's on Liqui, it's on BTR, Ether Delta. So it's on some pretty large exchanges. It's on some nice exchanges that I like. Obviously, the primary one is Bittrex, and it's not really it's for the most part, it's really not anywhere but the US, which gives you a little bit of an opportunity, I think, for growth in the future if this does have an international expansion on foreign exchanges. But to that point in time, both the actual application itself, and if you're looking at a usability standpoint in the United States, I would give this a 9 out of 10 from a usability standpoint. Now, additionally to that perspective, industry institutional backing, what do we think about with that? And with that being said, I think Civic, one of the strong suits of Civic is outside of Vinny, who's been in the space for a while, outside of Jonathan, you have technical advisors who are at legitimate companies in the blockchain space. They're not just some random manager at some big company. They're not a random manager at a Fortune 500 company that's just kind of using the name of that said Fortune 500 company. They are the co-founders or the CEOs of a Block, or the CEO of Protocol Labs, or one of the co-founders of Ethereum, and somebody from Risk Labs. And then to that point as well, you have technical partners at Block, at Jax. So there are, in my opinion, there's a really strong number of basically people within the space that are backing the cryptocurrency. And if you look here, featured organizations and partners, you have companies like Turo, which is a car rental company that I personally used. You have Zoppo, Shapeshift. You have BitGo. You have a number of companies that are in the cryptocurrency space that the Civic app naturally extends itself to. So I would, in this point of view, industry backing, I would say that this would be a 9 as well. Now, from a technical standpoint, when we're looking at this, if we're looking at technically speaking, I know there's a little bit of uncertainty right now. The token was initially issued on ERC20 tokens. There's a potential preference, and Vinny Lingham, I think, upset a lot of people in the Ethereum world because he had a preference to list Civic on Rootstock, which didn't necessarily happen in the future, but he had a preference to list this on Rootstock. And when we look at that, I think that technical nature, and just being that the product is somewhat, it's been proven during ICOs, but the grand vision of the product is not necessarily there. I would give that a 7 personally. And then on the last thing, the X factor. Now, what's the X factor? Is the market really excited about it? Is this something that is legit, or is this just some pipe dream BS? And, in that point, I think Civic has in my opinion, one of the strongest X factors when it comes down to the number of organizations that have already signed on with it, the companies that have utilized it from an ICO perspective, the number of people that have, the number of people that follow Vinny on Twitter, the interviews that Vinny had when it was, whether it's Unchained with Fortune, or the number of interviews that he had in regards to prior to the ICO and after the ICO. So I think Civic has that X factor where people care about what Vinny has to say. People care about the platform itself. And it has a really good opportunity to be kind of the KYC secure identity platform for cryptocurrency. And then once that can potentially spread out a little bit, then you're looking at potentially being a long-term identity management platform outside of just this cryptocurrency industry, into more things like Turo and some other places where, obviously there's a lot of world outside of cryptocurrency. I like to focus on crypto, but outside of that, right now there's a big world outside of that. If Civic can really truly expand to that secure identity platform, that's a massive X factor, and that's a big opportunity. So with that being said, I would give Civic a 9 on the X factor perspective. And if we're looking at this right now, overall, that would give Civic an 84 out of 100. Maybe that's a little bit low for you. Maybe that's a little bit high. I'd love to hear your thoughts there, but I really think that this valuation, or not necessarily valuation standpoint, but way to analyze cryptocurrency and tokens, ICOs, is a fantastic way to go ahead and to do things, because it's uniform. I think it's very applicable to a lot of the things that really drive market value for these cryptocurrencies. So I'm excited about applying this to future assets, to future digital assets, to future cryptocurrencies, to future ICOs as well. So if you like this, if you enjoyed this analysis method, this SpaceSuit X analysis score, again, Civic was the first one, giving it an 84 out of 100. And thank you again to Bruce Fenton for putting this together and making it open source. That's awesome, dude. So I appreciate that very much, Bruce. Thank you so much. And if you guys aren't following him, twitter.com/Bruce Fenton. I like following him. He's a good dude. Obviously smart enough to put this together and make it open source. So thank you again for that. But if you liked this type of video, it's something new that I haven't really done before. And this is not sponsored. This is not anything. I would love to hear your opinion. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know so I can continue to make more of them if this is something that you guys like and if it's a direction that I should go in. And in addition to that, like I said, I'm going to look, if you guys like this, I'm going to look to do this perhaps once a week with a coin that is requested within my private Facebook group and on Twitter. So I will do this so it allows me to research things and really get a good understanding of what's going on in the market. I will research this on a weekly basis. I'll do one video a week, perhaps every Tuesday or Wednesday from here on out. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments. And then in addition to that, I'm even weighing, depending upon how good the reaction is, if this is something where you guys want to do it on a daily basis, where it would be kind of a separate group off of YouTube, go to cryptobobby.com/research. And if there is any interest in that, if there's a lot of people that have some interest in me creating somewhat of like a research group where I do one of these videos every single day, then that would be a paid group, but that would be something that I would do at your request, and we could go from there. So let me know if you want to join the wait list, depending upon the number of people that join that wait list, and then the number of people that react to this. That'll just determine how I go. But I really hope you enjoyed this. I would check out, I'll put the link to SpaceSuitX.org in the comments as well, so you can certainly get a good feel for kind of this valuation method. I really enjoy it. I think it's pretty cool, and I would like to continue doing it if you guys enjoy it. So let me know there, please. And outside of that, thank you guys so much for your time. My name is Rob from Crypto Bobby. Hit that subscribe button if you are new here. And if you need anything else, head over to cryptobobby.com, where I have some of the information there just as far as my favorite tools, resources, portfolio in general. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, whether you're buying, if you're trading, if you're holding, if you're selling, if you're evaluating things with SpaceSuitX.org. Good luck. Have a good one. Peace.